Warm welcome back. This is part 2, during which Roger Dilkes will tell one of the best tales of refereeing and the complexities involved in it that I've ever heard. Goes back a few years to St James's Park, but it's well worth the hearing. Don't think you've told it before anywhere either, Roger.
No.
Probably not. Before all that, England, well, satisfactory, you've got to say. 1-0 victories over Slovenia and Lithuania in the World Cup qualifying campaign. Job done, and yet it's all gloom and doom and depression and apathy.
Yeah, there is a lot of that about, but I mean, I think it's, if you think about Scholes, or Gascoigne, where is that player? I mean, in terms of the ability to break down tempo, high quality passes in and around that final third, do we miss that? We certainly do. But I mean, I thought Ali did well last night, in terms of those involved in a controversial incident. He brought something to the party. That we do need a little bit of that. I think England do need a bit of that. Northern Ireland, a bit similar. We haven't got unbelievably creativity. But in Steve Davies, he'd be the one. But Gareth South can only work with what he's worked with.
But it's dull, it's boring, it's awful to watch. It's you turn it off. I switched over to Country File.
Did you really?
I did, honestly.
Did you get a calendar?
So you watch it as well?
I always watch it. No. It's one of my favourite programmes, actually, I've got to say. And I might have took up watching that.
You gave yourself away there.
No, I might take watching it rather than the England game. Yeah. But to be fair to Gareth, he's got a few players out. Lallana may add that spark.
Yeah, true.
I like what he did last night. I thought Keane showed what a good defender is. And,
Maguire did too, maybe.
Maguire did. I think he's a really good footballer. Whether the pace at that level, I think it's just something he has to tinker with. In terms of formations. But to be fair to Gareth, he hasn't got a Scholes or a Gascoigne jumping out of him. No. There isn't one.
But are we too regimented? Are they overcoached? Are they not allowed to go and express themselves on the field? What do you think?
I've heard that. I think it's Chris Waddle says overcoached today. I understand what that means. That you're not allowed to express yourself in that regiment. I would suggest Gareth is not that way. I mean, you could understand, if you'd have said Roy was a bit more like that, I would have said maybe, and that's just because he's a very organised manager. Gareth's got good structure and defensive structure, but you've got to allow people to express themselves.
Right.
I call about it, all we need to do as managers is play and make sure we cover the what-ifs. So we're playing, we're flamboyant, we give the ball away, then where we are.
Yeah, he's getting results anyway.
He is getting results, and I just feel that he's a good manager, and he's a good person as well. And I think,
fully agree
he's very honest about, he's saying, we play poorly. He's not trying to hide it.
Yeah, it's a great
fella. He knows
that. Great fella. Absolute integrity and respect of everybody from that point of view. The penalty. Dele Alli involved again. We've seen blatant instances of diving from him in the Premier League. This was different though, wasn't it? He gets a penalty. How would you describe that penalty award? Winning goal?
In a word, soft.
Right.
In a word, soft.
Do you agree with that, Iain?
Oh, yeah.
In other words, you're saying it shouldn't have been awarded?
Well, I can say that's never that. In our day, that wouldn't be a penalty, and I hate to use that, but it just wouldn't have been a penalty.
Yeah.
So, is it a penalty now? Well, Roger's got it right. It's soft. The referee wouldn't get taken off a game because of his contact. No. But does he go down? He goes down very easily.
He goes down very easily, but it's not blatant play acting, cheating, or anything.
Definitely not. No, it's not. It's clever.
There is a difference.
If it had been an Italian or a Spaniard, it would have been standard,
wouldn't
it?
Be talking about it in Italian or Spanish media.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we move on to Roger's story. Roger and I both watched non-league games over the weekend, but the floor is yours, sir. Let me just say this. It's not just about refereeing a game for these match officials. The job can start well before that, well before either team takes the field. So the scene is St James's Park, Newcastle. The date is September the 13th, 1993. The match is Newcastle United versus Sheffield Wednesday. The managers are Kevin Keegan and Trevor Francis.
To be fair, just for you, it must have been a slip of a man in 1993. About 20, wasn't he?
He must have been. I thought less than that, I would have said, but anyway.
Right. Thanks very much.
So anyway, you turn up at St James's Park for a nice game of football, incident-free night, and what do you walk into there?
Well, in the early part of getting there, because we're there very early, this is a live game on Sky, 8 o'clock kickoff, so we're there well early. But when Sheffield Wednesday turn up and they go to the changing rooms and the kit's hung up and everything, then one of the things that we find out is when the team sheets are brought in, what colours the respective teams are playing in. Now, everybody knows around the world that Newcastle United play in black and white.
Yeah. And Wednesday were, of course, blue
Wednesday
and white.
Playing blue and white. So
you couldn't have that clash.
So you couldn't have that. No. So you'd expect an alternative kit to be provided, and there's facility for that. However, long before I got the team sheet at 7 o'clock, an hour before kick-off, Kevin Keegan visited my dressing room and said, "Rog, you've got to come and have a look at the Sheffield Wednesday kit. It's the same as ours." So I thought Kevin Keegan was winding me up, I'm going to tell you. But he had passion in his eyes, so together we went into the Sheffield Wednesday dressing room. And sure enough, there was the specially manufactured kit for that live game for Sheffield Wednesday, which was predominantly white with a candy stripe, which was a very, very dark blue, let's say.
Right.
And consequently, it was not a shirt that they could wear.
Right.
So I asked to see Trevor Francis, who was the manager of Sheffield Wednesday at the stage, and once we found him, I said, "What have you brought that kit for? You'll need to change into your second strip." He said, "We haven't got a second strip. We've only brought that one. It's been specially manufactured as a sponsorship job for the evening because we're on live television." So I said, "Well, you've got a major problem." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, you'll be playing in skins because we ain't playing in that. And it's the away team that's responsible for changing." So he said, "Well, I have to tell you, we haven't got another strip." So I went to the secretary's office and rang Mike Foster, who was the secretary of the Premier League at the time. Unfortunately, we have the numbers, so he answered the phone. And I said, "Mike, I'm up at Newcastle, I'm just getting, the pre-match and all this, that and the other." And he said, "Well, put me on to Newcastle United." So I did, because they were all in the room, chairman, secretary, Keegan, Francis, etc., etc. And without going through everything, the decision was that Newcastle would play in their second strip, which was a blue strip. And the only reason why I couldn't get Sheffield Wednesday to play in that blue strip was because we had numbers and squad names on the back of the shirts.
So there's no way.
So I couldn't have two players, like two Barry Venisons and two on the pitch at the same time. So the decision was Newcastle would play in blue and Sheffield Wednesday would be allowed to play in their sponsored shirt.
There must have been utter disbelief from the viewing audience and the crowd.
Things like sacrilege and words of that description were said.
They were blaming you, weren't they?
Well, they weren't blaming me because what happened then was I did. This is getting on for 7:30 for an 8 o'clock kickoff by this time, and Sky were waiting to see what was happening because at that moment in time it wasn't going ahead.
The game was going to be off.
It would be off because we couldn't get different colours. So I then did an interview at about 7:30 on Sky to say the decision this evening, because is Newcastle will play in their second team strip, which is blue, and Sheffield Wednesday will play in black and white, yellow shorts, black socks with a yellow top.
So Sheffield Wednesday end up playing in a Newcastle kit.
They get fined for it.
Yeah, there was obviously disciplinary action taken against Sheffield Wednesday.
It is an unbelievable
the madness of going to Newcastle United for an away game and not black, dark blue and white kit by the way.
Shocking.
But in the dressing room, I'm then saying to my assistants, we're going to have to be on top form tonight. Yeah. It's going to be like a real blood and snot game, this, etc., etc.
What was the result?
The result was Newcastle United 4, Sheffield Wednesday 2.
Right, well, some plenty of goals and drama.
It turned out to be a fantastic game.
And the only time probably Newcastle have ever not played in black and white at home. Yeah.
And that is the only time that I'm aware of.
Just about brings us to the end of another ref show. Thank you very much, Iain.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Roger.
Not a problem.
Both of us saw non-league. I saw a non-league game in the FA Trophy preliminary round. I've got to mention the referee here, because when you see a referee performing well, I think he deserves a mention. This was Stocksbridge Park Steels 1, Atherton Collieries from your neck of the woods 4. They well deserved to win it. The referee, David Jones, even with my untrained eye, I thought he was absolutely excellent. Young, calm
Well done.
guy, upstanding, decisive, respected by the players. So one to watch, referee watchers in the future.
Well done.
Well done indeed. Meantime, thank you for joining us. There'll be another ref show next week. Bye now. Bye.